The biggest battle is brewing, and also escalation between Ukraine, Slovakia, and Hungary. It's day 1462 of Russia's operation in Ukraine. Let's dive deeper. Today we are going to take a look at Russia's Kramatorsk-Slavansk offensive operation, and we'll also briefly discuss recent escalations between Ukraine, Slovakia, and Hungary. However, before we begin, let's quickly take a look at the Helier Pole front. In our last report, we saw how Russian forces were able to absorb the initial blow of Ukrainian counteroffensive and stop the Ukrainian advance. Ukrainian forces are counterattacking from two major directions. But as you know, Ukrainian sources were initially denying any offensive activity on this front. However, many of them are now slowly acknowledging the Ukrainian counteroffensive. They are now claiming that Russian forces were forced to withdraw their forces from this area because of the risk of encirclement. However, Russian sources have not confirmed this. However, given the nature of the tactics used in these attacks, there will not be a clear front line, but a gray zone where both sides hold positions. Given that Russian armed forces have deployed 3 combined arms armies on this section of the front, it will be very difficult and costly for Ukrainian forces to penetrate deep. We are already getting reports about Ukrainian forces suffering high losses in these counterattacks. Because as the weather improves, it will make their situation worse, given how Russian forces are almost attacking on the entire front line, with varying intensity. Recently, Kramatorsk-Slavansk front is slowly becoming the biggest battle. As you know, these are one of the last remaining big cities in Donetsk Oblast, and Russian forces are advancing towards it from multiple directions. If you take a look at the pattern of Russian advance in the last couple of months, it becomes very clear that Russian forces from the north are trying to cut the highway and collapse the northern flank of these two cities. While from Liman and Siversk direction, they are advancing towards the northeastern and eastern part of the city. And now in recent weeks, Russian forces have started advancing from Soledar. Even though Russian forces look far away from these two cities right now, as big defenses like Liman and Kostiantynivka stand, the situation could change rapidly given the state of Ukrainian armed forces. We already saw the collapse after Avdiivka, where Ukrainian forces were only able to stabilize the front after Russian forces reached Pokrovsk. But as of now, Russian forces are slowly advancing along this entire front. Recently, west of Soledar, Russian forces are advancing along the highway from both sides. On the northern side, they are now trying to bypass Fedorivka-Drua from the north. As they capture these two settlements, this was confirmed by the Russian sources. In addition, they have been clearing the gray area south of Nikiforivka. Now at the southern side of the highway, Russian forces have captured remaining Ninkivka, as fights have now shifted to Halyubivka. Given that Ukrainian forces have dense defenses, it will take a couple of months for Russia to reach these two cities. However, this could be one of the biggest battles of this conflict. Now, recently there has been an escalation between Ukraine, Hungary, and Slovakia. As you know, because of Russia's long-range attack on Ukraine power plants and grid, Ukraine is forced to meet its energy needs by importing electricity from other countries. However, as Hungary is blocking sanctions and aid to Ukraine, Ukraine has allegedly stopped oil supplies coming through the Druzhba pipeline. Yesterday, in response, Hungary and Slovakia issued a statement that, if oil supplies are not restored, energy supplies to Ukraine would be cut. But now it appears as if in today's attack, Ukraine struck the Druzhba station in Russia with drones. Many people are saying this situation could escalate further. But both countries have not issued statements since then. Subscribe for more frontline updates. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.